my goodness, I have such a fun project for us today. As we are moving into fall, at least here in North Carolina, we are moving into fall. I thought it would be fun to do a bit of a drill slash create a poster for ourselves. So today I got on Canva and I found lots of different leaves. And I brought these leaves together and I included the name of what tree they came from. So I've got all of these fun leaves. And you know, I love paper. I love to make books. One of the things I've seen making paper, you can find these posters of fun things like different types of mushrooms or different types of leaves or just different varieties of plants or vegetables. And I thought we would do that with leaves and different leaves from different trees and what they look like in the fall as they begin to turn. So I've put them together and we're going to make a poster. Now, this downloadable, what you should know about it is that I created it if you print it through, say, Kinko's, it's about 11 by 14, I want to say. And I've put it on, let me show you what I've put it on. Okay, here you can see I have a very big pad of the Arches 140-pound cold pressed watercolor paper, and it is a 14 by 20. So I went ahead and I printed this off at Kinko's. If you want to do a smaller one, you can print it smaller. That is totally fine. It might make it a little easier, but I wanted a bigger one. And I went ahead and I traced all of it on, including the words. Now you can hand letter that in. I'm not super great at the hand lettering, so I went ahead and just traced everything on together. So I thought we would do each one slowly together. And I decided I'm gonna leave this one on the paper so that it doesn't bunch while I'm painting it. And let's go ahead and paint this together. We'll start with the ginkgo, and we're gonna stay pretty up close here to this ginkgo, and we'll take a look here at it. We've got the ginkgo here, and I have some color already on the palette up here. I'm going to use my round 16 to begin. And what I want to do is I want to get some of my yellow, and I'm just going to begin. I'm putting down yellow. You know, it can be really intimidating to begin a watercolor, but sometimes you just have to begin. And so what's really fun with this fun little, it's like we're creating a little poster for ourselves. And what's cool is we have a lot of leaves, so we can do one and then start on the next while it's drying. And I'll need this to dry so that I can go back in with the additional colors. Like there's the little red dots and some red and a little bit of green in there, but I really need this to dry as it is before I go back in there. So that's the beginning of the ginkgo. Now we're going to go to the horse chestnut. The horse chestnut is really going to be a challenging one. And let's take a look at what it looks like here in the reference photo. So actually, I'm going to lay down a very, very light kind of yellow. I do want to use my yellow here, and I want it in this middle area. And there's green in the middle, so I know that it will be okay to put green over top of some of this. And there's some red. But I want to put this light color down first. leaves are really, this is a challenging one. Leaves are a little bit challenging. At least I find them challenging. Maybe you won't find them as challenging as I do. But I do find leaves pretty darn challenging. And what happens is we're gonna do it together. We've got that started. We've got this one started. The next one I want us to move on to is the white oak, is what we're gonna be working with. And I don't know if you can see it too well over here. The white oak right here, what I want to do is there is some yellow in here and then there's red over top. So I'm gonna lay down a light coat of yellow. We'll come back over it and put red down. I'm going to do the birch in a yellow. I'm going to use a combination of my Windsor orange and my yellow and bring that together and then put that in over here. And I'm going to come in up here, and for the tulip poplar, I'm going to bring that into more of a yellow. It does have a little bit of the orange in it, but it is more yellow than orange. And I'm going to bring that in. So what we're doing is we are glazing. So we're going to start with the lightest layer. That's what we're doing on all of these, so that we can come back in and build up color. Just glazing here. This is so much fun. Okay, great. Now the tulip poplar got its first layer down. We've got this cute little acorn here. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my Van Dyke brown. I'm switching brushes. I want to move to my round 6, and I do want to go ahead and just get a light amount of Van Dyke brown down. And there's even a touch of yellow in there. I picked up a little yellow onto the brush. And again, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna get so much more down here, but for the moment, we're just getting color down. My teacher calls it color mapping. I think that's such a brilliant phrase. We are putting color down. We know where the color is going to go here and what that is going to look like. Now I can do a lighter amount, a lighter color even, of the brown right here. Just really, really subtle, which it's still Van Dyke brown. It's just the higher water ratio, more water than pigment up here happening. I'm going to bring that in right here. And et voila. So just getting that going. Now the next one for us to tackle is going to be the sweet gum. It's nice and red, so I want to color map the red down, and I'm going to move back to my round 16. And I'm going to pick up, I think, crimson. A little bit of red mixed with crimson is the color that I want to go with here. Again, I'm purely color mapping. I want to put down the lightest color that I see. And I'm going to make that a longer stem. Now we have mapped out the color for each of these, and the next one is to do a beach. This one is very similar to the tulip poplar. Look, I didn't draw as much in on this one as I should have, so I'm gonna have to do that by eye. Kind of eye it and put it in. I can do that. The red oak is what we'll be doing next, and that's similar, I think, to our sweet gum. And you know, you can do these all in poster form, or you could do them each one on its own page. So really, it's up to you on how you want to do these. Okay, so once these all dry, we'll come back in and do some more. It is time to work with this ginkgo leaf. And this is what the ginkgo leaf looks like in the fall. So it's got a little bit of green in it. It's got a little bit of red. And I think what I want to use, I want to use my round 1. This is a black velvet round 1. I got this from Jerry's Art Aroma. And I do want to bring in some green. So I'm using the green that is on my palette. It is, I believe, the Hooker green from my Winsor and Newton set. And I just am going to give it some lines here. I see these green lines, and I'm going to go ahead and bring those in. It's green on the edges. Gently bring that in. So the thing about these very small brushes, like what I'm using right now, is that it doesn't hold a lot of water on the brush. And when you get some water on the brush, it's like it almost gets too much. So you've got to be really careful with these. And I know we've got this fun little light coming in my window. I record in my office, and later in the day the light begins to come through in a really pretty way. There's a little bit of green over here. It's like the last vestiges of green. And then it's time for the red, and this red is probably more of the, it's a combination of the crimson and just a regular red. Maybe even a burnt sienna and red, probably burnt sienna. I'm gonna bring some of that here. Okay, I'm gonna bring some red down here to the bottom of this stem. A little bit right here on the side. And there is probably a little right here. And I feel like that is complete. So that ginkgo for me is done. Now, the next thing that I want to do is this is the horse chestnut, and I want to bring in the green that I see. So first what I'm going to do is mix a little bit of the green that I want. It's kind of a brownish green, and it's like muted. So I want to bring in more of a muted color. And I'm going to get my edges here. So I'm going to take a little bit of the red, and I'm going to mix a little bit of the Van Dyke brown with it and get kind of a dirty red here and kind of bring this in on the edges. And now it is time for the tulip poplar. You can see we've got the tulip poplar right here. So it is more of a red and a brown. So we're going to begin by bringing in that red. Okay, so we've got that started. Now the next one that we're going to begin is this white oak. And I want to definitely leave some of that yellow that we have. Some down here, these bottoms of these leaves are a little bit still yellow, and I want to leave room to drop in even more yellow than what I have there. Next, let's work on this little acorn. Let's give it a little bit more work. So here you can see on the reference photo what we are working on with here. I'm mixing a little bit of Payne's Gray and a little bit of Van Dyke Brown, and I want to bring that into that little hollow space right here. And I see a very sweet little spot right here. I'll come back to that in a bit. Each one of these leaves could be almost its own painting. The next one that I want to tackle is the sweet gum. And here I want to really bring in some red to some of these spots to get it a little bit closer to what we see in the reference photo. And I really like the crimson from the Winsor and Newton set. I'm going to darken up the crimson in some places. And I've been thinking about this particular painting as we've been working on it. I think it could make a really neat tea towel. Thinking about creating that. What do you think? Would you want this to be a tea towel? Tea towels do seem to be all of the rage these days. And I'm really curious about that. I'm not sure that I remember them being such a big deal in the past. Yet right now they seem to be something that a ton of people really enjoy. Are you part of the tea towel craze? I would love to know. Right here, I've brought these colors in, and what I'm gonna do now is, this is a little risky, but I'm just gonna take only water on my brush and kind of bring it up like this. So I want to just make it a little bit darker in these areas. Created a bloom over here. I'm gonna have to come back and fix that. I wasn't going for a bloom. I'm not sure that's quite what I want. It's so challenging to get these leaves. Like I said, leaves are just really tough. Really, really tough. We're gonna do our best, but it really requires just seeing, really seeing deeply. Okay, so this one is getting close to done. We're not quite there yet. And what I do want to bring in that you might be seeing, do you see how it's dark up here? I am going to actually do a little Indian. It will kind of give a violet effect as I bring this in. Like the looks of that, so I'm gonna call that done. Now the next thing that I want to do, we've got this beach and I forgot to draw in those lines, so I get to do that now. And I'm gonna make that a brown line. I'm gonna use my Van Dyke Brown, which I'm a really big fan of the Van Dyke Brown, and I may mix some of that Van Dyke Brown with a little blue and black, just to kind of give it a super interesting color. So what I see happening, I want to I want to use my round 1 for this. Okay, so I do wish I would have drawn those in, but that's okay. It's looking okay. I do want this to kind of dry. I am gonna grab my round 2 and just touch up a few things. All right, we'll let that dry. Now, the red oak is what I'm going to next. And the red oak is right here, very similar to what we see in the sweet gum, but not exactly the same. There's this little yellow spot down here. I don't know what you'd call this little base area, and I just want to capture that. So I'm gonna let that dry. That does need to kind of soak in and dry. And while that's doing that, I'm gonna bring some more in here, some yellow in here. It's okay if some of these kind of bleed a little because it looks a little messy in some of these other spots. So I'm not too worried about that looking a certain way. That was fun. Okay, he was kind of touch and go there for a minute, but it's good. I like the direction that we're going. I am going to drop some burnt umber mixed with a little crimson in here in just a little bit, but that does absolutely need to dry. Now I want to come back to my acorn right up here, and let's give this acorn of ours a little bit of love. I'm going to take my yellow, and I'm gonna add a little bit of my brown and maybe a little red in there too. And I'm coming up here like this. That was a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, and a little bit of my Van Dyke. And I'm gonna do that same thing right here. And again, this is really going to need to dry, but I'm going to give it a little, some lines here, letting that dry, okay? And while that's drying, let's work on our cute little birch over here. I want to kind of orange it up a little. I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to drop it into my yellow a bit, so kind of just get a little bit more orange into my yellow, adding a little bit of water here, and I'm gonna bring that down here. And it's not all over, right? So there's just some spots, see spots that are just a little bit more orangish yellow than others here. And that's what I'm aiming to create, is kind of that look in some of these spots here. But I do want it to look relatively even. So what I'm taking now is just water on my brush and smoothing this out in some of these places. And we've got a little bit of that more interesting look happening here now. And I'm pleased with the route that's going. So that texture is beginning to look good. I want to come back in here, and this is our white oak. We've got quite a bit of red and orange, and we do have those yellow lines. So I'm going to come in and let's make those red lines. It's a very strong red and probably mixed with a little crimson, maybe a tiny touch of blue. So I want to give that a strong dark line right here. Okay, so that's got its strong line, and I see the veins here that are strong as well. I do want to give it an orange feel to some spots. So I want it to feel a little reddish orange, and I'm going to take some of the red and include it in my orange. What I'm going to do here is take a really wet brush with my orange-ish red and bring that in. I am gonna want this to dry a little bit more, but I'm bringing it all over. I'm gonna have to go over these lines again, that's okay. It's mixing with my orange, but it's giving me the exact color that I was hoping to get. So this is just going really smoothly in towards what I was hoping for. Okay, so once that dries, I'll come in and darken up those lines and bring more red in. But for now, this is just perfect for what I was hoping to do. So that is a great start. Now I want to come back up to my horse chestnut. I want to bring more yellow in here, just a touch more yellow, and then probably some burnt umber. But let's see. I want it to be like a yellow orange-ish, and it's okay if it gets on the green. Okay, so once that dries, we'll come back in there. Now I'm super excited to come in here with a darker color. So it's like a dark brown, maybe blue a little bit into some of these places where the leaf has just kind of been aged. It has had its sunset. I really like that, and just bringing it in. I am gonna grab a little bit of purple because it will look really good. I'm gonna add it to my brown and just bringing that in. These little edges, I wanna make them sharp, sharp purple brown, and that color is gonna look so good. Just trust me. And we've got all these dots, right? And try not to, your brain, absolutely, it wants to make a pattern. So don't let it make a pattern, but it's got these dots in here and these brown dots. And I'm gonna bring in some red in there too, because I do see red. Okay, I'm loving how that one is looking and how that's turning out. And now I'm gonna go back to this horse chestnut, and I'm gonna take burnt umber, and I'm gonna take burnt umber, a little bit of red, maybe just a touch of purple. And I'm gonna bring that in here and just bring it in. We're about done here on this little guy. What a cutie it has turned out to be. That looks great. So that little horse chestnut looks fantastic, don't you think? I love how, so I think that those three, the ginkgo, the horse chestnut, and the tulip poplar, they are done. Now I want to come back to this white oak and really give this some attention here. I'm just going to kind of mix up my red. It's red here. I want to get it a little redder in some of these spots. This is great. Again, this one is going to need just one more layer. Once it's dry, it will need that vein through the middle is going to need some purple. That's almost done. Now let's come back to this fun acorn. Okay. It is mainly the Van Dyke brown, I believe, and mixed with maybe a touch of burnt umber that I'm gonna start bringing in, trying to catch that right combination of browns. So it's really rich. So that's kind of coming in all right. And then there are these spots. We've got some brown spots kind of in here. And this little top is a little bit more gray than anything. So we're gonna fill that in. We're gonna let that dry. We're gonna come back to that. We're gonna add in so many details there once that dries. Now the next thing I want us to do, let's tackle the birch. We filled in those orange spots. We've got a little bit of red, a tiny, tiny bit of kind of red orange that happened. And let's see what I can do with that. If I can kind of bring it in right here. Again, this will need a few more details, but at the moment we can let that dry and know that that is on its way to getting closer to what I would like. Now I want to tackle the red oak. Definitely just need more red in here. We're gonna just make it a lot redder all over. I'm gonna drop in some yellow orange just right here. And push the red more this way. And then I just want to kind of drop in right here. And I'm gonna drop it in down here. And then I will get a little bit of red right here and drop that in here. And just let it do what it needs to do. We'll come back. We've got lots of detail to add to this. But again, for now, we have kind of hit the nail on the head. So here, this one, let's add a little bit, some orangish brown, orangish reddish brown spots happening. It's just this kind of diseased looking spots, but it's really just part of, you know, what's happening the fall. Just kind of moving it around, see how that's doing its thing. And I'm gonna do a little of that over here on this side. I think that's perfect. There's like this one deep spot happening. Make that a little bit more pronounced. And maybe even something along one of the lines right there, and give it something here. Just gosh, right there. And there we go. So the beach, I feel like, is done. And for the most part, I think my sweet gun is done. This is not dry, but when this is dry, we're gonna come bring some more in here. Now, while we're waiting on that to dry, I do want to begin working on the letters. I think that what I'm gonna go for is a violet. I'll begin here. So I'm gonna very gently begin to letter these in. I'm using my round 2, and if you hand letter and have things that you use to do this, it will probably make it go a little bit faster, a little bit more smoothly. But for the moment, this is just how I'm doing it. I'll speed it up for you. Now this is dry. I want to go in and do what I was hoping to do. So I'm picking up my round 6 and I'm going back to, let's see, I think I want my crimson for this one. I'm going to draw my crimson. And down here, it's a little bit violet. I'm gonna grab that and place it in here like that. I feel pretty complete with this one. The next thing that I want to do, there are some dark black brown over here on this birch. So there's a little spot here and a little spot here. Just got these bits that I'm just gonna go ahead and fill in. I am going to give this a little bit of, I guess, an orange red, more orange than red. And I do bring that up in here. I think that guy is done, that birch is done. Now I want to come down to this red oak, and I like what's happening here. I do want to bring in more of a red, a nice maybe kind of crimson color here, and get that nice and ready. I see it in this spot here. I'm just bringing water in around these edges. I brought in that strong red, and now I'm bringing in just water to lighten it up, to bring it in. Again, I am trying to leave that orange and the red that I've already got on there, but just kind of evening it out in some places. Again, I'm still gonna come in there and bring in some more highlights. But for now, I think we've got what we need. Now I'm going to continue with my little lettering and move back to my purple here, my violet. Okay, beach. And the last lettering that I need to do is the red oak. Now, let's see, the red oak and the acorn here, those two need a little attention. I'm going to take the crimson and going to draw these lines in here. That feels pretty complete. Now I want to come back to my little acorn here. I do see some red, some chestnut red. This is done. So let's just take a look here. We are going to zoom on out. Take a look at that. Don't you love it? How much fun is that? And now we have this beautiful looking poster of fall leaves, or you could even turn it into a tea towel. What do you think? This one was a lot of work, a lot of different things, and a lot of fun. So thanks for sticking with me on this one, and I hope you loved it as much as I did.